This session will explore the current landscape of cooling-related skilling in India, spotlight leading programs and partnerships, and identify what more is needed to scale capacity across the value chain, from grassroots to the government. We are joined by a panel of experts who bring deep experience in training, education, and systems thinking, making this a truly action-oriented discussion, and we appreciate it being organized by RATA. Let us now begin the session and welcome our distinguished speakers on stage. Yeah. I would like to first invite Ajit Panikar from RATA as a moderator, and Himanshu Dikshit, Program Associate CEW, KD Singh, Managing Director, Aircon Engineers Private Limited, and Subramaniam Srinivasan, Managing Director, Spirotech Heat Exchangers Private Limited. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Ajit Panikar. I've spent about 40 years in the space of HVAC, run a company. I also run a technology venture in the HVAC space, but I represent here Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Trade Association as one of the presidential members. The Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Trade Association is a group of MSMEs in the business of HVAC. We have about 2,500 members who are our direct members, and we reach out to about close to 6,000 companies across the country. Today's session is about bridging the HVAC skilling gap to enable sustainability. So how complex is this problem is what we would like to discuss with you, and we would like to share with you, to most of you, as to what is the ground reality, what is its direct impact on sustainability. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that we think we can solve, but we also believe that probably we may not be able to solve it ourselves unless we collaborate and get everybody on the same page. Now, to put this puzzle across and to explain in details, I have with me three wonderful panelists. My panelist on my left is Mr. S. Srinivasan. He's a managing director and co-founder of Spirotech Heat Exchangers Private Limited. He has nearly 5 decades of rich experience in engineering and manufacturing. Mr. Srinivasan helped build Spirotech into India's leading producer of fin and tube heat exchangers. In 2011, they became the first in India to export these components to developed markets. And in 2016, Spirotech became part of the prestigious Italian Luve Group, a global giant in heat exchange technology. Today, 90% of their revenue comes from exports, and their journey reflects a perfect alignment with India's vision of make in India and make for the world. So Mr. Srinivasan actually is a representative of an aspirational India, of how entrepreneurs get into starting a business and scale their business, and eventually an Indian multinational. That's how it becomes. Next, from the execution. So you have to understand, when you say MSMEs in the HVAC field are of two kinds. One is like people like Mr. Srinivasan, who are component manufacturers to large organizations, OEM manufacturers who you call as brands. Then there's another segment who's actually the last mile connect, who buy these equipment, system integrators who offer solutions and actually give you the solutions that you have in a hotel like this, or in a place like this, in a convention center like this, in your houses and everything. So my next panelist is Mr. KD Singh. He's a managing director of Aircon Engineers Private Limited, a leading HVAC system integration firm with a 27-year track record. Mr. Singh is highly regarded professional in the HVAC design, commissioning, and performance-based execution. He has led several award-winning and LEED certified projects across the country. He's also a recognized sustainability advocate, having held leadership roles with ASHRAE and IGBC. His feet on the ground perspective brings sharp insights into the challenges of real-world skilling and delivery of solutions. My third panelist is Mr. Himanshu Dikshit. He's a program associate at CEW's climate resilience team. Himanshu brings a policy meets implementation lens, having worked closely on India's engagement with Montreal Protocol and supported the Empowered Steering Committee of the India Cooling Action Plan. His work spans both global climate forums and domestic strategy sessions, translating research into meaningful, implementable ideas on cooling and workforce transformation. Honestly, thank you everybody for taking time out on a working day to come here and to share these thoughts. I'll just set the context so you know where this discussion is heading. So, India has made strong policy commitments under the India Cooling Action Plan, ICAP, the Kigali Amendment, and its national climate goals. We've also made impressive technology strides, high efficient equipments, inverter technology, low GWP refrigerants, connected systems. But a key question remains, who's going to install, commission, maintain, and manage these technologies? We face a clear gap. Technicians are often unaware of refrigerant handling protocols. Installers may compromise system efficiency due to incorrect practices. Service staff is unaware of leakage impacts, may unintentionally contribute to global warming. And contractors are under pressure to deliver fast, often skip skill validation entirely. Now, if you don't address these talent deficiency with urgency, we risk undermining the very climate gains that these technologies promise. So this panel comes together to diverse mix of voices from manufacturing, research and policy, and on-ground contractors, and each of them touches the skilling issue from a different but connected angle. Together, we'll examine where the system is breaking down, what's working, and what's the practical solutions we can use on scale. So to get this started, I'm going to ask each of you to set the context. I'd love each of you to actually take about 2 to 3 minutes and share your perspective on the state of the skilling challenge today, starting with you, Mr. Srinivas.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Ajit ji. Regarding the challenges of the skills and the skill requirement, we as a manufacturer have been suffering for the last 2-3 years, especially, in fact, even more than that. We, to give a small brief, we manufacture fin and tube type heat exchangers. It's actually a high-tech engineering component which involves quite a lot of skill requirements as such. Here's where the challenge that we are facing right now. Our company was started in 1994, and it's about 30-year-old company now. There's a small correction to what you said. We started the exports in 2001 itself. Because when our product was very well accepted by the local market, we thought, why not we try to do exports? Well, it was ridiculed by many people of competing with Korea and other places, Malaysia, Korea, Japan, etc. But still we thought we'll make a try, but we succeeded. We are 7 times award winner from the Government of India for our export performance. We are exporting, as you said, 90% of our revenue comes from export. Our revenue is about 500 crore, by the way. Comes from exports, mainly to developed economies like Europe, North America, and in fact, we export even to China, 1 or 2 companies. This is our small briefing about our company. We have created a gold-rated green building, in the new plant in order to produce high-quality product to meet our export requirement. Well, regarding the skill, because we need one of the major operation is called brazing. We employ about 700 people, out of which about 600 are direct workers that you are involved in production. 80 of them only brazers. This is something which is really not taught in institutes like ITI. ITI has got many trades like electrician, machine operation, and refrigeration, mechanic, welding. Maybe now even computer is there. They are limited to this 5, 6, 7 trades for a long time. It has not changed. Now, the requirement of skill is very high. Well, we are facing a huge problem. Well, we go to ITI and pick up every year, and even this year, in another 4 days' time, now the exams are going on. 23rd, the exams are going to be finished. We are going to pick up as much as 40 people at least and train them. Maybe how many people will stay for a long time is something, it's a big question, but at least if we don't get benefit, at least our competitors get the benefit. At least somebody will definitely get the benefit. That's the whole idea. Anyway, the numbers are something which everyone knows. I don't have to say. In 2015, we had a 3.4 million production of air conditioner. Today, we are talking of something like 12 to 13 million. It was quite unbelievable even to a person like me, maybe a year or so. But these are the facts, because the newspaper articles are nowadays saying India is going to face a shortage of 6 million compressors. If 6 million compressors are going to be a shortage, it actually came in a magazine, in a business newspaper called Mint, which is another arm of the Hindu newspaper. Pardon me?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm sorry about it. This is what it is. That means the figures are genuine and reliable. As I said, we have about 600 direct workers, 700 in total. Employee strength, including white collar, is about 800. We have provided employment to so many people, but losing people is a big challenge for us at this point of time. Even this year, starting from February, we have lost more than 100 to 150 people straight away out of the 600 or 700, which shows that there's an acute shortage and competitors are just picking up from other competitors. This has become a never-ending game, rather some kind of a disease it has become. At least we don't do that, but this is what is a reality, you can say. And
Because of the supply shortage, you're saying one guy is picking up the other guy, using him, throwing him out. This is a season, so I take people out. After the season is over, I just dump the guys out.
actually,
That's what's been happening in the industry.
the growth of the industry and the turnout and availability of skilled manpower from ITIs, they are not in line, they are not in proportion. It is same number of ITIs present, maybe few numbers here and there increasing, and the trades have not gone up, and adequate change in the syllabus has not been done. For example, you go back 20 years, there were engineering colleges mushrooming everywhere. In fact, all of us used to talk about this and laugh about it. But if so many engineering colleges had not come up and so many engineers had not come out, maybe we can debate about the quality of engineers. I'm sure software industry and IT industry would have suffered a lot. We wouldn't have registered this kind of growth in IT and IT exports if 20 years ago this many colleges had not come. When I studied in whole of Tamil Nadu, there were only 8 engineering colleges. I'm from Tamil Nadu. We wouldn't have coped up with this kind of IT demand and software demand. I mean, each company recruits
So,
in lakhs.
so Mr. Srinivasan runs a company which is an MSME which has done extremely well and scaled up. And he's saying it's a complex problem for me to get people, for me to scale up further.
In fact,
Now, one of my earlier speakers out here said that, this is this HVAC is with a lot of informal kind of businesses which form together. If this is what happens to a formal, organized MSME, what is happening with the rest of them, which is about 70 to 80% of them? That's a key takeaway from what he is talking about, when there are a lot of other people who are smaller, who are still scaling up, which form the majority of this industry. It's problem galore. I mean, you'll be surprised, some of them are giving up, saying that this is not a business that I can be in because I don't have people to do it. That's the one thing.
I have, in fact, we are first generation entrepreneurs. Before starting Spirotech in 1994, I was a general manager manufacturing with Feders Lloyd. Then when the liberalization started to this level, started showing up, the demand started increasing. So me and Dr. Malhotra, who is a legend in this field, who is retired now, some youngsters may not be knowing, but some of the senior members here will be definitely knowing, like Mr. K.D. Singh. We both started this in 1994 and grew this to this level. As a
So for organized people to actually have this trouble is a little bit of a complex situation.
In 2016, our company was acquired because my partner, who is much elder to me, he wanted to call it a day, retire, and Luwe took over his shares completely, bought him completely, and I continued for some more time, and they bought me completely, and I'm continuing as a managing director still. This is a small background about our company and the small challenges,
Sets the
and
context.
we can come back.
I'll come back to you. So, Mr. K.D. Singh, you come to the other side of the industry, correct? Now, on the last mile segment, you're also you're more conscious people within the industry, very well established. You understand sustainability. You build projects. You're known to build projects which are sustainable. Do you have a skilling problem or you're doing well?
So, as you rightly said, I'm a system integration company and I've been running this company for last 35 years. And I would believe that the construction industry has three categories of people. You know. One is the influencers. I think all of us who are sitting here are the influencers. The second are the policy makers who make policy, and one of the policies that was made was about skilling. And third are the implementers. So if you look across the board look across the entire value chain here, you will find the largest gap that exists today is in the third segment, which is the implementers. There's a lot of talk, whenever I go, there's a lot of talk about energy efficiency, there's a lot of talk about sustainability, we talk about carbon footprint size, we talk about carbon neutrality, right? So as far as that is concerned, there are a lot of influencers who are influencing that decision making, a lot of bodies are doing that. Coming to the policy making, yes, there are a lot of good policies that have been made in terms of achieving energy efficiencies, the rating systems that are there, the product labeling program that is there. We are very soon moving to the building labeling program, so very good, decisions in terms of policy making. But the largest gap that we see is in the implementation. So people like us who are the implementers really face the heat in terms of how well we can implement this. Now, one of the challenges of implementing these good policy decisions, or a lot of people who are influencing these policy decisions, is the skilling. That's one of the factors, right? Now, if you look at what happens to people like us when we go to implement a particular project, right? When you go to implement a particular project, what we find is, yes, we've spoken about energy efficiency, we've spoken about the carbon neutrality, but on ground, how many of us really do understand, the design aspect of a particular building and a building, It starts with maybe the building envelope. How many of us are, or maybe how many of us are skilled, or how many of us in this industry are skilled to really understand what, modern technologies or techniques are available to us to predict the future performance of a building? Right? If we do not make use, like we're talking of technologies, simulation technologies, we talk about, energy modeling, we talk of CFD, we talk of a lot of these concepts. But are we skilled to take this up and take it as a starting point for us to reach our energy efficiency goal? From my perspective, I would say that we still have a lot to be done on this particular, field. We still need to have a lot of very good engineers who come out from the engineering college. And I'll come to a solution for this as I go along the various facets of what I believe are the problems in terms of skilling. So the first aspect is that I think we are not abreast with the technologies, or we are not skilled to understand those technologies or implement these technologies. Our curriculum still is based on very traditional methods of thermodynamics, of maybe, these are very good to understand fundamentals, but there's a huge gap between what happens in an engineering college and what actually is the need of the construction industry today. So that's point number one in terms of the design aspects of a construction industry. Second is the products. Now coming to the products, I think a lot of good work has been done by BE in terms of a product labeling program. So at least there's some sanity in the industry in terms of awareness in the industry in terms of the products that you need to buy, what rating they are, 5-star, 4-star. That's as far as the appliances are concerned. There's still a lot to be done in terms of the other products in the commercial air conditioning industry. We're still following standards which are maybe, which have been set by, people abroad, which probably would be outdated now. We need to move to new standards. We need to get to new products. We need to get to products which suit. India is a very large geographical zone. Different geographical temperatures require different products to be there. It cannot be a standardized product. We produce window air conditioners today which are rated for 35 degrees centigrade ambient, right? We have moved to temperatures at 50 degrees centigrade. Last year, Delhi recorded an ambient temperature of 50 degrees centigrade. And most of our air conditioners failed. So do we need to rethink in terms of the products that we are producing? Do we need to scale up? Do we need to bring that product awareness? Once again, skilling plays an important role in this particular aspect. Then comes the execution. When it comes to execution, very important is that all the good work, I always say that if design is the brain, execution is the heart. And both of these need to work together in conjunction to produce a healthy body or a functional body. So what we find, once again, because of lack of skilled manpower, the implementation becomes a challenge. I've seen the largest of companies, the well-known of best of companies in India, who boast of turnovers of thousands of crores of rupees, struggling on ground to get manpower on time to produce quality and to meet the timelines. So once again, at the stage of implementation, there's a problem about skilling. And finally, when it comes to commissioning or maybe the after-sales service, even in terms of, if you look at the commissioning, how many good commissioning engineers can we really find in the HVAC industry today? Without commissioning a particular HVAC system, how can we say that we've achieved our carbon neutrality goals, our energy efficiency goals? If we cannot measure what we have done, we really don't know. It's just like, saying that I don't know what my weight is, but I feel that I'm putting on weight. So if you can't measure what you're doing, so commissioning is something which you measure of what you've done. What is the end result? The most important aspect. So how many good commissioning engineers do we have? We don't have those skill sets, or we don't have those programs which can develop people who have those kind of skill sets. And finally, coming to the after-sales service. All of us have split air conditioners in our house. And I just like to ask all of you, how many of you have heard of torque wrenches? A simple example. How many of you have heard of something called a tool called a torque wrench? So what does this do for an air conditioning split unit?
It will ensure that flare nut should not be overtightened.
So wonderful answer. So I think it's a great answer. So you would find that there'll be very few people who would, a mechanic who comes to your house will not possibly carry a torque wrench to tighten your flare nut to really find out whether if the flare nut is over tightened, you can have a gas leakage. If the flare nut is under tightened, you can have a gas leakage. He was talking about brazing. When you braze at site, you need to braze in an inert atmosphere, where you have inert gas in which you are brazing, so there's no settlement of carbon in the pipes. But how many of us do ensure that this happens? So answer, it's never done. So if it is never done, then you have a rate of failure. And once you have a rate of failure of a compressor, you're also losing, you're not only polluting the atmosphere, you're talking of refrigerants which are carbon CHFC or CFC free, which have a GWP which is very low, or it has an ODP which is very low. But then if simple things like that, there could be a lot of things that I could go on to say, but then I think there's simple, small examples of not having, skilling done across the entire value chain. And I think one of the solutions to this is that in our academic curriculum, it's very important that maybe you have 3 years of theoretical studies. 1 year you work with a company like maybe Spirotech or the new name of the company, Louvre, or maybe with a person like me. And I've had very good experience in doing this. I picked up students from the 3rd year from an engineering college, and maybe in a matter of 4 months, they've been able to pick up and have been able to learn, and they're ready for the industry then to pick up, and then to start implementing and start working on the ultimate goals of sustainability.
Awesome.
So that's all I'd like to.
So awesome. Great for those 2 inputs directly from the industry. Himanshu, this is not the first time you heard these, right? I'll come back, sir. Let me come back. So this is not the first time you've heard this, right? And you've engaged with the industry quite a bit. What's going wrong here? I mean, we just keep coming back every time. Somebody is not listening to it. Somebody is not doing something about it. What's your take on this, and where do you see the whole problem across?
Yeah, thanks, Ajit, and thanks for having me on the panel. Let me begin by saying that, it's an important issue in a number of ways. The skilling challenge. I've done some work on the skilling challenges in the downstream value chain. And Sir talked about skilling across value chain, but my work has been mostly about post-sales servicing challenges. And there is a reason for it. India's refrigerant emissions, about 40% of them can be directly ascribed to servicing. So servicing sector is responsible for 40% of total, India's total refrigerant emissions, which is huge, right? In addition to that, there are studies which point out that about 30 to 80% of energy efficiency can be directly tied to, good servicing and maintenance of your air conditioning units. Uh, Yesterday you raised the issue of derating. So it's quite big. So those problems need to be addressed by proper skilling. But even beyond that, when you unpack the concept of cooling equity, there are two big pieces there, right? One is the access to cooling. So people don't have access to cooling, and so you need to provide them thermal comfort. You need to make sure that they have access to affordable, energy efficient cooling units, whether it's air conditioning or whether it's some other technology. But the other big piece is, the service technicians. So service technicians are essentially technology takers. They had no say in deciding the technology, right? And eventually they face the brunt of it, right? They have to figure out how to fix your air conditioning units. It's their livelihood. And these technologies are rolled out without ensuring the readiness of the servicing sector. So, right from, so these two parts, right? Whether India wants to meet its climate goals, and second, when you want to ensure climate justice, on both these counts, servicing sector action is very important. Now, in terms of, what Government of India is doing and what's going wrong, and we'll come to that later because there are some numbers that we need to tell the audience, which will put the whole problem in perspective. So the analysis done in 2018 showed us that India had about 2 lakh service technicians, which was maybe good for that time. It was a baseline. CERT gave you, the compressor numbers. In 2015, we must be selling about 4 to 5 million air conditioners. Right now, we are at 12 million, and it will soon, exceed 14 million next year. So the demand is growing really, really fast. And the skilling sort of action is not keeping pace with it. So that is one, I think, big challenge, which is becoming bigger and bigger, and we are not in step with sort of solving it, the speed with which we need to solve it. So that is one challenge. The policy focus is right. I have to say that the policies the Government of India has put in place in terms of PMKVY and the kind of institutional mechanism they have to skill the technicians, that is correct. But the problem lies in the details of implementation. So, when you are, designing your skilling program, how long is it? What are the modalities of it? How are you assessing the learning outcomes of those reskilling programs? So all those things need to be fixed to achieve proper outcomes. At least in my work, I've seen that some of these things can be, vastly improved. Let me stop here and...
Yeah. Sure. So I want everybody to take a pause. You heard all the 3 panelists. All right. So one thing is very clear. We have a shortage of manpower, a skilled manpower. Think about it. This discussion is happening on a mid-afternoon, hot afternoon in a country where there is 1.1 billion people, where 50% of the people don't have jobs. And then we are saying that AI is coming in a very big way, which will again create problems. Isn't it strange that we are even talking to such a low-hanging problem where this industry is growing at such a fast pace, where so many jobs can be created? And I'll also tell you one very important analysis we have done at the association level. There is this platforms, e-commerce, quick commerce and e-commerce platforms, which have created great jobs, fabulous. You have the Swiggies, you have the Ubers and everything. But you must also realize, while they're employing a lot of gig workers, there is no skilling happening out there. Okay? There's really no valuable, tangible skill that is given to him. Both these industries have got a technology development that is happening. Drone delivery systems is a reality, it will come. Driverless cars is a reality, it will come. What happens to all these people who are gig workers there? They don't have a skill. Who's going to employ them? You're sitting on a ticking bomb. And here is an industry which can do skilling, upskilling, build a career, and also build micro entrepreneurships around it. It's a huge opportunity that we are somehow missing on. And that's the problem that we need to address. So I'm going to get back into a little bit of deep diving. So, Srinivasan Saab, you tell me, how does this insufficient technician training impact the real world energy performance and life cycle efficiency of HVAC system? And how does it impact your growth? Both in terms of sustainability and in business, how has it been impacting?
See, Ajit sir, basically, I'm from a component industry and we are not manufacturing finished goods. Therefore, this service part of it, etc., my knowledge is quite limited
Got it.
because I have not been involved in that. However, the problem is we are talking of the problem that we are facing today.
Yeah.
There is a huge problem. Let's think of here the first speaker, I think if I catch her name properly, Miss Archa or someone, she was telling by 2037, every 15 seconds an air conditioner will be bought.
Yeah.
I'm sure her figure is right. They have done a lot of research. At this rate where we are growing, like what we talked about, 3.4 million in 2015 to 12 million today, what's going to happen in another 10 years? If the availability of skilled manpower today is such a problem, in 10 years' time, what's going to be the problem? It's visible, but we are not seeing it still. That's where what you call as missing an opportunity. We are not missing an opportunity, we are missing a jackpot.
True.
Opportunity is a gross understatement. Okay, now I'll touch one of the subjects what he talked about, the skill in the installation, service, etc. Right now, all these ITIs, refrigeration mechanic trade, the students, whenever I've interviewed them, their view is that they'll be service mechanics in the field. Therefore, they do not have adequate importance of the quality of the job that they are doing. He talked about torque wrench, which is just one of the examples. You can go, we can talk for hours together about the kind of pathetic job that's being done while installing, in spite of the product being a top class. Some of the top class brands lose their name because of this poor service, poor installation, poor workmanship, and later on, he talked about torque wrench and flare nut tightening to the right, which is correct. Now coming to the brazing part of it, you have to swage to the extent of at least 8 millimeter before doing the brazing. I have 3-4 air conditioner in our house. It's never done. This is the kind of skills that they are aware of. Basically, I don't blame them. They take this shortcut because they're short of time. Summer, they have to attend 10 installation, one after the other, and they just run away. These people, as he said, that's also one of the point, in the ITI curriculum syllabus, summer training should be made compulsory. They have 2 clear summer holidays with them. It's happening in the case of BE, BTech courses. There is a summer training necessary. Numerous third-year student engineers write to us for a 1.5 to 2 months summer training, and we genuinely invite them. We give them even a small little stipend for them to at least to manage their daily coming and going. This should be made. They should work in manufacturing industry to understand what is the quality need, what is the importance of each process, how much it plays. Your question, I'll come to that, because that is directly related with that. And they'll understand better, and in the field when they work, they can do a lot better job, which will help even the brand of the company to improve their own reputation. Today, 1 or 2 good brands, they are known for pathetic service.
Yeah.
Very good brands. Now coming to your question, how much it affects, it definitely affects a lot. If there is a poor brazing and the leaks directly affect the environment. There's no doubt about it. We are all talking of climate change, warming, heating. It is true, but if this kind of leakages take place, I mean, it's a fact. People tend to the compromise, as long as it cools, it's okay. How much really it has to cool in 1 year time, it would have lost certain amount of gas. The common people do not understand that, the household. Therefore, this these institutes should definitely make, in my opinion, opinions may differ, should make the summer training in manufacturing industry or with this kind of people a compulsory one. They'll understand. They will understand one more thing. They need not think that it is a service-oriented industry without any only 4-month job, 3-month job. When they work in a company like us, even during summer for training, they will understand it's just not about job, it's a career. In future, can get jobs in companies like this where there is social security, PF, health insurance, etc., etc. It need not be limited to 4 months affair and remaining 8 months. Hum ragarte firte mechanic. They themselves say this.
Yeah.
Or
No,
a firm means.
so that's changing, because if you look at all developed markets which is more mature in HVAC, the cost of installation is almost as equal as the cost of the equipment.
We
So
have
is the
worked for
cost of
12
maintenance.
months.
So this is completely career oriented, and it's changing at a very fast pace. So it's no more like the AC wala. He is now he's now a career oriented guy. It's an opportunity for those guys to actually come in and build a huge career in this industry. And I think that's the message that also needs to go. And it also comes from a very big policy problem with the government. We don't have certification. You can get a driving license if you're a driver, but the guy who's come into your house to take care of your 40,000, 50,000 air conditioner, is he actually certified, or does he have the training, or you are the training lab where he's learning on your expensive equipment? There is no certification from the government, and that is something that we've been trying to push. Now I'll tell you how complex we have made the problem. Today, if they decide to put certification and training, an industry will get up and oppose it, because 50% of the people do not come from a formal training background. They've all learned from the job. So when he says a torque wrencher, they might be using it, he must not even be knowing that's the name of what that language is, of that tool by itself. They'll have different local languages which they identify with. So we have a very complex problem. We've reached it, which still is solvable. So one of the things that I really want to come to you, Giri Saab, is, on the ground skill gaps. How does it directly, the ability to meet energy efficiency standards and, performance targets of your projects, how does that impact? Because you take up projects saying that these are the energy efficiency standards that I will provide. But you don't have people who understand that, like how you said earlier. How is it impacting you?
So I think I was just discussing some time back, and I was saying that the projects that we are now presently implementing, it's just my observation. I don't want the forum here to believe it's the right thing, but it's my observation that most of the projects that we are doing at such a fast-paced, speed, most of these are ticking energy bombs, for the future times. And this largely because, we are short of skilled manpower. Simple connections, like even, in a chilled water system, things like connecting chilled water pipes, return chilled water pipes, one in front of the other, so that you have bullheading. This bullheading leads to turbulence. Turbulence leads to higher pumping heads, leads to, loss of energy. So I think simple things like this are still lacking. This is not available with most of the construction people. Leakages in ducts are loss of energy. And how many of us do believe that, pressure testing of ducts is an important aspect? And if I were to look at my 35-year career, maybe at the end of my 10 years, I really learned that how important it was to check a duct, leakage in a duct. And I think there are very few people in this industry who really have duct leakage testing machines. So these are simple examples of, challenges that we are facing today to meet, the commitments that we are making to our clients. Because at the end of the day, maybe I could be the one person who's standing on one project to get it done, but if I have 10 projects, unless I have skilled manpower who are in sync with what we think, or what generally the industry needs to reach the carbon neutrality goal or to reach the energy efficiency goal, unless we are in sync with that, I don't think that we'll be able, though we have wonderful policies that have been made, we are thinking, a lot about it, we are talking a lot about it, but I think the important aspect is that skilling and training and getting people to that particular level is very important. And I think one of the largest challenges that we have faced is that we have not been able to provide growth to our people on ground, what the software industry has provided. If you look at the construction industry, it's not really provided, career growths to people as good as what the software, industry has provided. And one of the largest challenges here is that in the construction industry, if I were to go for a project, everybody talks of the first cost. It is not the first cost that is important. It is the life cycle cost that is important. And as influencers today, we need to make, if we can influence policy making, which awards tenders on a life cycle based, system rather than a first cost system, I think we will have moved one step in terms of encouraging the younger generation, or saying, like what Ajit was saying, that 50% of the people are unemployed. We can encourage these people to reach this particular industry. It meets both the goals. It meets our goal of energy efficiency. It meets our goal of reducing the carbon footprint size. It also conserves the natural resources of the country. We are depleting natural resources. Coal, oil are a direct drainer of our foreign exchange. And if we are able to invest into our manpower in the right manner, by taking small baby steps like this, I'm sure we will be able to achieve our ultimate goal.
Amazing. Himanshu, I want to come to you. CEW has been working on life cycle refrigerant management. Just to give a highlight into it, they published quite a bit of papers. What it means is all the air conditioners which are installed has got a refrigerant in it. Most of them are R22, which is now not used anymore. The question they're asking is, what happens when this air conditioner is replaced? What happens to that refrigerant? As of now, it is just let into the atmosphere. So there is a life cycle refrigerant management program that is being discussed. I've had the opportunity to work around that quite a bit. Is that even possible, Himanshu, without skilling?
Life cycle refrigerant management, let me first say what it means.
Yeah.
So it has three parts. We talked about, the downstream skilling, right? So when you look at the life cycle of an air conditioning unit, firstly, you have installation and commissioning. Then you have periodic maintenance during the use life of your air conditioning unit. And thirdly, the end of life. So what happens when it's discarded? Where does it go? So even that discarded unit has leftover refrigerant in it, and given the volumes we are talking about, it can become a huge problem. It already is in some sectors like mobility, air conditioning. So I want to relate this with the opportunity size, because you talked about missed opportunity, right? So in one of our studies, we found, we projected that if India gets the skilling part right, we can save about 1.3 billion tons of CO2 just from the RAC sector by 2050. So this is huge. This is not a pittance. This is not some marginal issue. 1.3 billion tons just from RAC, about 600 million tons from MSE, and then another 200 million tons from refrigeration. So about $2 billion opportunity by managing refrigerants, by 2050. It will contribute hugely to India's climate commitments, right? So, and in the process, look how many jobs you will create. So there is a huge demand for technicians, but of course we do not have enough technicians. Personally, I'm waiting for a technician to visit my house for the last 3 weeks, right? Sir talked about, their experience of not finding enough technicians for, their enterprises. Even at consumer level, we are not able to find good technicians on time. By 2047, India will need about 3.6 million service technicians for installation and commissioning, and secondly for maintenance. But the third piece in the LRM is end-of-life management. So there is an even bigger opportunity to create jobs in the sector, right? So climate opportunity and the jobs opportunity. So this is really, one of those impossible triads, right? Jobs, growth, and sustainability. And it's all coming together in the air conditioning space. But will we capitalize on this opportunity? It's something that only time will tell. And of course, if we don't get the skilling part right, we will not probably get the sustainability part right and the jobs part right. Sorry, what is the question again?
On the LRM, the skilling, you pretty much answered it. The importance of skilling around the LRM. How does that work?
Right. So So LRM, I mean, this is a new paradigm that is being discussed right now at Montreal Protocol, and India has taken some steps. Now, it is part of the e-waste management policy of India, but of course, there are issues with respect to operationalizing the policy. So, how do you create a reverse supply chain of end-of-life units? And of course, service technicians will be a key player in that, because who will dismantle the unit? Who will ensure that the usable parts are separated from the non-usable parts? I mean, only service technicians will be able to do it. But of course, it will require a different skilling approach. It's not the same as maintenance, installation, and commissioning. So that's one piece that we need to work on in the coming years.
That's right. So if you really look at it, when he talks about it, we might think, oh my God, this is a complex problem. We will not be able to solve. You'll be surprised. There are many countries who have navigated, and there are fantastic examples of how they have actually built this. Australia, for one of them, has done skilling brilliantly. And it's a case study. And they're a very fast-growing economy. It's one of the certified, an IT professional doesn't get so much of respect as much as there's a rush to get a job in the HVAC segment. Because this is not only about air conditioning, right? It's also about refrigeration. The entire cold chain, these are all related industries. And these are industries that are all growing at a very fast pace in India. And there's so much of jobs that can be created, and it's a career-oriented company. Now, I've got about 4 minutes before I actually open it up for questions. So before that, I'd like each of you all to just quickly say, if you had a magic wand, what do you think is one thing that you would like to see a change that can go towards a solution? If most of you want to know what we have proposed, there is a fact sheet which talks about skilling. We are very fortunate with NRDC and Terry, we were able to put this fact sheet together. And actually that was a big takeaway from the last Cooling Coalition conclave, because that's where we connected, and we had a fact sheet out there which is there for everyone to read as to what the solution can be, as to how to navigate this problem. So if you had a magic wand, what do you think is one thing that you would like to see, the first step to change that we can fix this problem?
More ITIs have to come, number one. The importance for refrigeration, RFM trade has to be a lot more counseled at the time of admission. And that in welding trade, brazing should be a part of the subject or a trade sort of a thing, because like in mechanical engineering, industrial engineering is a subject, production engineering is a subject. A similar thing has to be done, because welding and brazing are more or less brother, sister or cousin brothers. This should be imparted in their system of education and knowledge.
A clear
Head.
academic change has to come in,
Has
and
to
that
come.
industry participation, they
Then
need to
on-
train so that the industry,
Then-
they cater to the industry requirement.
Then only the numbers will come out. We need numbers now.
Absolutely. KD sir?
So two things. I would believe that first, all the people who are involved in the construction industry in the value chain must take onus and responsibility. Like maybe I could be the first one who would say that I would, for my keeping in view my growth for the next 5 years, I would train, or I would train 100 people, 200 people, whatever that I can do, so I can contribute and I can give back the industry, those people who can add value as we go along. That's, I think, the first thing. Second, I think very important is that as much as thought that we put into the policy making to do it, I think there is one real great push and great effort required. I think amongst the influencers who are here, even if 1 or 2 or 5 of them can put thoughts to the implementation process as a whole, how this can be implemented, because there's not one single thing that we can do which is going to turn magic for us, but I think we'll have to take some few concrete steps, starting from making the industry attractive for youngsters to come in, to the skilling patterns that can be done in terms of the curriculum, education, the opportunities. So I think we need to put our thoughts together and bring in industry, academia, and the policymakers together on one table to make an implementation program.
That's right. So what he's referring to is, there are government policies which he said are all thought, but implementation is bad. So you have the PKMY program, you have the NAPS program, you have the NATS program. They're all government initiatives which are very good, but at the implementation level is just so ineffective for the industry. NAPS, NAPS. So the NAPS and the NATS programs, which is all government supported, but it's not tailored to suit our requirements. So somebody needs to sit together and say, can you come up with a document which says that, listen, why these programs are not creating jobs for this industry? What is it that needs to be the changes towards these programs that will help this industry? And as an industry, we have solutions for it, but somebody needs to take it up and put it across. From your side, Himanshu. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll reiterate two things. One is that training and certification programs need to be ramped up. I think the point that was made by Sir. But secondly, I want to say by way of an appeal to industry. Industry can play a huge role, right? So government has PMKVY. They have a program called Recognition of Prior Learning, and they have certain targets in terms of how many technicians they want to train by 2030. But what can industry do here? So I think industry can help in two ways, three ways actually. So one is more investment should go towards skilling. It should become industry's business to improve the skilling landscape of the country. Of course, they look at it with a competitive lens. So my guys should be skilled, but what do I care about the market? I think that mindset should change, and more investment should happen on skilling from the industry side. The second is, as we are talking about training and certification, and we have a certification program, I'm not sure how much the big manufacturers are auditing and monitoring their service partners, right? The service partners are actually executing the post-sales, servicing, maintenance, etc. on the ground, right? Now, in high demand seasons, these people take on all kinds of people. Right? So when we did a survey in 23, we found that in Gujarat, a lot of people from Rajasthan came for installation and commissioning. But these people were not just trained, I mean, they were not trained, of course, but they were from other professions. Some were carpenters, some were doing some welding work, and they were installing air conditioners in Gujarat. So, some of this can be mitigated by having, industry monitor and audit some of their service partners, right? So if a training and certification program is in place, and there is a certificate, let's say it is actually signaling the right thing, that the person is trained, then it is the job of the industry to ensure that their service partners have a critical mass of trained and certified technicians, right? So these are some of the pointers that industry and government can take up. Yeah.
Just sum up on what we've been discussing. The opportunity to create jobs is huge. You can fix not only your climate goal problems, but you can also fix a big India problem. And I think that's an opportunity that we should not miss out on. Training and certification has to come in. There are enough content. As an industry, a representation has been made as to what is the path towards that. Some of the government schemes need to be relooked and focused on this industry. In a nutshell, even if the government can just take this task of being focused within this industry, a lot can be achieved and you can push. I think the industry is pretty much ready, to get this on. So one of the things that from the association that we are working on is, we have assumed that nothing of this is going to happen, so what do we do? So one of the programs that we are launching at Rata is something called as a Skillathon. What is a Skillathon? Skillathon is about a 12-part series, which is the 12 pain points in skilling that we see, and we are creating online content. Because June 15th is going to be the World Skills Day, so we said we'll use that as an opportunity and we create 12 skilling programs, which is online content for the industry to use and skill their own people at a very low cost. But these are all mitigating it in a small fashion. So there's a lot that can be done in a very constructive manner. You've seen the scale of the problem, and a huge problem can happen in terms of the growth opportunity as well as in terms of sustainability. I'd like to open the the audience. Yeah, if you have any questions, please raise the question to the person whom you're talking to and be specific about the question, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ramnik from Habitat India. Thanks for this enlightening discussion. I was not aware of the huge skilling gap which you have spoken about. I think we spoke about the academia, the industry, the policy. I think the missing link which can be addressed is the consumer. As a consumer, I resonate with what Himanshu said. I bought a new air conditioner and I had nowhere to go after a year. And I was like running pillar to post last week, getting the right guy because something like an electric panel was not right. So if you get the consumer into the entire forefront, as hundreds of ads come in every day in newspapers, how is it that the consumer can be empowered so that this comes as a mainstream discussion? Like we have the industry interface, there should be an app wherein all consumers actually talk about their pain points, and that itself becomes a recognized platform for all people to participate.
Awesome. That's a great stakeholder. Umanshu, you want to do it? Because this is something that it's already been discussed, so you can, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for that question, actually. I missed the point on how we bring consumers into the fold. So technology can play a big role. Of course, one of the things that's important is bringing transparency into this, because a lot of this can happen only if there is a demand pull. So the consumers are not demanding good servicing, they're not demanding trained technicians, it's not going to happen, right? So there's a lemons problem that we discuss in economics. Somebody can do a job for much less money, but of course the quality of that job will be affected. So if you have to solve the problem in a very comprehensive manner, consumers have to be A, sensitized, but B, they also have to be equipped with tools that can help them get to the real issue. So for example, why technology? So for example, if you get your AC serviced, how do you know the efficiency of your unit has increased? You don't know. You just have to believe the guy. He'll say now your air conditioning is restored, there is cooling, and that's it. And you're satisfied. What if there is, just like you get your car serviced, right? There is a sheet and there is a checklist. And when you get your car serviced, that checklist is given to the customer, right? And you can see the pre-servicing performance and post-servicing performance, right? So if something like this can be done in air conditioning, and of course the industry folks are here, I know from Ajit that this is very much possible. This is a capability that industry has now. So we can actually leverage it to empower the consumer to contribute to this process, right? So this is I think one way you can bring consumer.
So just to add to what he said, one of the things that we probably are, as an industry, we are promoting is, how do you nudge the customer to engage? The life cycle of an equipment cost is much more than the cost of the equipment. So can you connect a device, an IoT device, into the system, make it, whereby what is the live consumption of electricity, pre-service, post-service, the refrigerant pressures in it, how much is leaked out, does it really need a gas charging when the guy comes and tells you? Why can't you have that? Where has this industry gone? You have put IoT devices into it, and you are selling it, saying that 1 hour before you reach home, start your air conditioner. That's not the way it should have gone. So I guess that consumer pressure needs to come towards more impactful solutions, and then you'll suddenly seeing all the stakeholders have to deliver because they're being held accountable. So the moment a consumer holds everybody accountable, the whole value chain suddenly starts changing. And it's not something that cannot be done in India. We put FASTags in every car in India today. We made digital payment possible for 1 billion people. It's not a task that we can't achieve. It's only about a policy and who's going to bell the cat. As simple as that. One more question before we wind up?
Taking just taking that further, suppose a lot of us live in Noida, right? And how many of us, ask for a corrosion treatment on our, heat exchangers or on our condensers or cooling coils, when we install an air conditioners? How many of us do ask for it? I think all of us are can I just, if anybody can raise their hand and say that he has asked for a corrosion resistant condenser or a cooling coil. Most of us face challenges of gas leakages in Noida because of high sulfur content in the atmosphere. So maybe if consumer awareness is the point that you raised just now, so maybe air conditioners that are sold in a place like Noida or maybe on particular geographical zone where there's a high extent of corrosion that is there, I think we'll start demanding, coils and air conditioners which are corrosion resistant.
Awesome. One more question and we'll wind up.
Ajit, I back you on what you said about the consumer awareness. In fact, that's where the problem will start into exploding, and then the solutions will start imploding. It cannot be a top-down approach. There's only a certain point till which you can push a top-down approach to the market, but until and unless you have a consumer who is aware and knows what he or she wants, you cannot do anything. But the country is ready. As you said, the industry may be ready, but even the industry is not ready, as long as you have the skill sets, right? The skill gap still exists. But when you look at the refrigerants, R22, R410A are passé, right? If we want to bring in the new GWT standards into the country, I tell you this is what is possible. My friend Dr. Venki from Bangalore is known as the lead man of India. How did he do it? One man in the country is responsible for bringing in what? Non-leaded petrol. Can't we do this together? I think we can. I piggyback on what Mr. KD Singh said. You got a systems approach. I totally say hats off to you. I teach design thinking, so obviously I relate to what you're saying. Not that the others are not. I was expecting more from Himanshu, actually, you being from the CEW. My point is, how can we change the consumer behavior, behavioral patterns? None of you actually address the green building codes or the building codes that we need to bring in. The consumer pattern has to be changed. Number one, that also brings in the skill gap as well. It's just not about the AC technicians or HVAC technicians. There is more to it than when you implement the green code in this country. Netherlands was at the bottom of the pile in Europe. But in 3 years, they came to number 1 in Europe because they got it right. Korea leads in this when he talks about HVAC, in getting the green certifications, getting the codes, getting the training, and also the certified products, which we all talked about. But then we have a meta blueprint? Because we are still talking in silos. We are still talking in pieces and silos, right? But when we get the industry coalitions together, form the districts together, which are the heat consuming districts, or heat emitting districts, sorry. And then you address those on a war footing. And then tell me why we cannot do this in a country on an accelerated basis. I think in about 5 years, this country can be on the top. I rest my case.
True.
Yeah, I just answered that question for you on the building codes. There's a new building code that's being written, the National Building Code. The new building code, which you'll soon see, right? And this new building code has a lot of people who've been drawn into the industry and I've been a part of writing that building code. And I've seen a huge change. Earlier the building code about air conditioning spoke only about, temperature and RH. But today the new building code that's going to come out very shortly, of course, if it's through a process of review, but one of the suggestions that has been made in the entire process is to incorporate something like positive pressurization and indoor air quality. We are talking of indoor air quality. When in most of our installations today, we talk of AQI, IAQ. So now the new building code is one small example of the thought process that is going into it. Whether that becomes a reality or not is something that we'll have to see. What objections come up, what don't come up, it's for public review. Similarly, when you come to parking ventilation, there have been a lot of new things that have been added. So the new building codes are addressing that. But having said that, one of the very important factors that all of us need to think today is that with climate change, are the existing building codes will be adequate to handle the climate change or not? For example, you have suddenly a rainfall which is, far below the average annual rainfall maybe in a place like Calcutta, and all your stormwater drains fail and you have water flooding on your terrace and you find that waterproofing problems that are there. So maybe, as you rightly said, our codes need to be rethought of. Now, if you're talking of certifications which are platinum and gold, I think we've gone far beyond those, and those codes need maybe revisiting, and maybe thinkers and policymakers to upgrade those standards and move higher.
Are we going to involve the architecture firms into it in the Green Code?
Absolutely.
See, that's another stakeholdership that we are not even discussing on the National Code for that matter. This is where we need to get our act together. The whole industries need to come together. not in a siloed basis.
You wanted to say something?
I just want to rebut on one of the points which he mentioned as a final one. Industry has to come forward for skilling. So one of the points what I mentioned was, please send them for summer training. We will not only teach them, train them, but we'll even pay stipend to them. We have no problem. And especially the summer training coincides with the peak season where people want people. It will be all the more people in the industry will be welcoming. Whether you go to XYZ manufacturer and the summer training, if you offer them say 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, they will welcome with open hands. That's one of the support that the industry can do. On the other hand, if you want the industry to set up a skilling institute, including starting from land, building, plant, machinery, and start skilling people, please believe me, that will be a non-starter. It will not take place.
I agree with you. In fact, I would like to partner with you, Mr. Srinivasan. I'll take you upon it. I'm the founder of Vision India 2030, which is a capacity development movement in the country.
Because
We
with the
can
kind
go
of
to every institution in the country. If you want to set it up, we'll meet where the rubber meets the road.
Supriya, I think we should do this every 6
People
months.
might talk
Every time we come for India Cooling Coalition, I have a takeaway. Last time the fact sheet came in, here sometime we have something new coming in. Awesome. One last question.
Hi, my name is Shaurya. I'm from Terry. So I have worked with Ajit on fact sheets. So it's based on
Yeah, go ahead.
it's based on curriculum. On the certification and training part, we have actually worked on with the Ministry of Environment. Thank you. So on the certification and training part, we have actually worked with the Ministry of Environment, where we try to incorporate the certified and trained technician in the GEM portal, in the public procurement portal. And we have also given some recommendation to the Ministry of Skill Development. My point is, do we need a specific dedicated body in the Ministry of Skill Development for servicing sector? And what is the one thing do you like to borrow from the servicing ecosystem from the US or Europe in India?
So, can I answer that? Yeah.
I think sometime back, we said that all the problems that are inherited by the service technician. So many times, whenever I've been asked to present about commissioning, I've always said, are commissioning engineers magicians? So they aren't magicians. So maybe the servicing sector part is only one part of the entire skilling program, right? The skilling program has to start from the top level in terms of the design to the implementation to everything. So I think the skilling has to be addressed from 0 to 100. So only if it's a design which is done correctly, is the implementation that's done correctly, and the commissioning that's done correctly, then comes the part of the technicians. Now there is where you can have, technicians are not magicians. So if you've wrongly designed it, or you've wrongly braced a particular system, or you've not tightened the system properly, or you don't have the correct quality of power, a technician can do a little bit as much as skilling that you might do. So maybe skilling across the entire value chain should be the net result, or the net goal to achieve complete success.
Yeah. So just to sum it up, honestly, we can learn from the US, UK, Australia, and they've got great examples. But I think India needs India-specific solutions. It's high time that we figured out, and it's not that we're doing this for the first time. UPI is a standing example, right? We created it. It's an India-specific solution that we created. So many other things that we're doing. Skilling also needs an India-specific approach. And that's what it is. So it has got to be India's solution for the world. That's it. Like how UPI is becoming a solution. So in a way, through this discussion, some of the big takeaways that I want to tell you is that we have a huge opportunity to create jobs. You can solve India's problem. You can solve climate problems. We can approach sustainability in a very big way. We need to change the narrative in the academia as to what this industry can offer. This is a better industry for mechanical engineers and engineers to stay focused on, because they can build a career and they can move up the ladder and even become micro entrepreneurs. And that's an opportunity that we have in a tropical country like ours. We can create these jobs, not just for India, probably for the entire world. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you so much to all our speakers for a very engaging session. And again, a big thanks to Rata for curating this session.